Out of awards, huh? Oh, wait a minute. Will you bring that over here, Rachel? So, a lot of you, some of you knew Al Thumann, who was a founder. He passed away a few years ago. Had an amazing vision. And we started the Al Thumann Award some years ago. Actually, it's not just so you can drink beer out of. It's actually a really special award. This guy who's getting it this year, you heard about him this morning. He led AEE as the Director of International Member Development for all those years. And what he has accomplished speaks for itself when you look at the number of countries that AEE has impacted. But what's really neat about this award winner this year is he cares deeply about what we do, who we are, and the people in our organization. And in caring so much, he not only helped open up chapters all around the world, but he truly cared for and nurtured the individuals in those chapters. And in doing that, he's helped AEE, all of us, change the world. This year's Al Thumann Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Larry Good.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, everybody. I'll begin with the thank yous, but the problem is there are hundreds and hundreds of names, so I'll have to summarize them. So I'll say thanks to Al and the gang, and thanks to Bill and the gang, and there's a lot of overlap. I'll name two individuals, though. One is Ruth Whitlock. We just visited her today. My wife Maya and I had a very pleasant visit with Ruth. She sends her regards to the association. She has fond memories and misses her job sometimes. I ask her that. She says, yes, I do. And the other person I would like to thank is my wife, Maya, who's videoing this. She's one of the few non-AEE members I know who volunteers for AEE. And she gives a lot of hours. Another example was Connie Lobodowski's wife. She used to do that too. Okay. I am resigning as Director of International Member Development. It's time. But I'm not leaving AEE. I'm a life member. I joined AEE 35 years ago and became an officer immediately because when I attended my first national capital chapter meeting, they said, we need a secretary. And that was it. Now, I'll tell you a few stories, time permitting. I'll summarize my whole experience with AEE in 3 minutes. Now I'd like to explain the most exciting thing that happened to me in all of AEE, the most exciting experience, single experience. Now, I've been Director of International Development for about 25 years, and that overwhelms everything, of course. But within those 25 years, there was not one single event that was at the top of the list. Altogether, they were. Then, at the same time, I was president for 1 year, and what I remember about being president is defining the regions of the world outside the United States for AEE. And I submitted a map to Al and Ruth, and it stands today. These are the regions today. But carving up the world was not the single greatest experience in AEE. Before I was president, I was regional vice president. And I used to work with FEMP, the Federal Energy Management Program. And the director at the time was John Archibald. And I loved working with him because we were both engineers. And we didn't have to explain the obvious to each other. We just got right on. He wanted to give a grant to the southeastern region, of which I was vice president, Region 2, to stimulate, let's say, sustainable energy activities within the chapters of the region. So I said, this is a great opportunity. And I set up a little competition among the chapters, see what they could do with the monetary incentive. Then one day I got a phone call from Al Thumann. He says, Larry, what you're doing is illegal. Stop it and get rid of the money. So, I was surprised. I pulled the plug on it and dumped the money under the chapters. And my greatest accomplishment as regional vice president was avoiding jail time. Before that, I was president of the National Capital Chapter. And this is where my greatest single experience with AEE happened. And Bill told the story this morning, so I don't have to repeat the whole thing. John Glenn's office asked us for input into the new Energy Policy Act, and we were happy to give it, and we wrote some text and submitted it, and they liked it. But I really had no idea what I was doing. I was playing it by ear, as any rock musician would do. So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the slide's not up. The slide was up this morning. Out of nowhere comes this person who seems to have a sense of what to do. He had the intuition. He said, you know, we gave them the text for the bill, but we can't stop here. We should write a letter to all the senators now. But okay, that sounds good. We did that. Then he said, well, now we should attend some sessions of the Senate and try to meet people and shake hands. We did that. And he said, now we should visit these senators. We did that. We had a champion in our midst, and I didn't know it. He just appeared. His name was Dan Williams. He was a new member at the time. So then when we finished with the Senate, John Glenn's office said, now go across the hill and do the same thing with the House. And they gave us a contact. And we looked at the text that the House had developed for the Energy Policy Act, and it was so flawed that Dan and I said, this is trash. And the young woman, the aide, asked, well, what do you recommend? So we gave them the Senate text and said, get some ideas from here. A couple days later, they called and said, we've adopted the Senate text. So it went into committee, and the text in both versions was identical. It was passed unanimously, and President Bush signed it. That was my greatest single experience with AEE. It's not often you get to make a difference like that. You know, many times I wonder about my whole career, did anybody really listen? But this time I was sure we had moved the mountain, maybe just an inch, but we moved it, and that was for real. And the point here is that you gotta seize these opportunities when they come. Some are large, some are small, but you gotta seize them. And if you have a chapter and a champion working together, you can make great things happen. Either one alone may not work. So when the opportunity comes to you, don't be shy, be aggressive, and make it work. Thank you. Have a great life.